To
Yeah,
keep people close is a life skill.
it
A lot
is.
of people chase people away.
Oh my God. Like and I was kind of running into that same situation of pushing people away, and then
Mm.
I'm glad that that's kind of resolved now.
Why were you doing it?
Well, it was just the tortured artist life that I was living. Like, I mean, a lot of self-loathing. Like, I mean, I have I had a lot of self-loathing. I didn't view anything that I did really well. Like, even the art. Like, I'm only starting to love what I do, or even just like what I do, only now.
Mm.
And I've always had people telling me, "Oh, you're amazing at what you do," but it never resonated with me. Never.
No.
And I think
And
that's
it actually doesn't matter. This is the thing, right? It doesn't matter how many people tell a human their work is so amazing. It's like an Instagram like, right?
yeah,
It's this quick adrenaline rush, but
yeah,
it will never change your own perspective of yourself.
no, no, totally. And so yeah, it's been a deep dive, like just trying to figure out all of these things. And
Let's just start. Let's like you. I'm curious now. So I'm picturing you. Can you maybe describe your home like as a little boy, and then at what point do you remember really being fascinated with art? Like, was there a point in your life that you actually remember?
yes, um, my dad had this big tree in the yard, and my grandfather also, he is a very handy man, and he built this big swing. He built a huge, crazy, huge swing, and we had this big tree. And our home, it was my dad had an interest in gardening, and in that community, nobody people gardening wasn't a thing. Like people weren't doing
Mm,
that. People were really just kind of living in their dilapidated house, and that was okay. So my dad had pride in himself, in his surrounding, in his place, and
mm,
so my from a young age, my dad fostered that kind of a space. So like our backyard was an oasis, um, in this kind of sea of just misery, basically.
yeah. Wow.
And so I would spend a lot of my grandfather built a tree house. I spent most of my time in this tree. So like I mean that was where my imagination was born. Like my
Mm,
imagination was just it came alive like during those periods. And then obviously I was a very shy kid as well. So you have that isolation of not just I wasn't as bubbly as my sister, who was 3 years younger than me, but like I mean, she's way more bubblier than me. I've got all these hang-ups. I'm always trying to be the good kid. So like um, for me, I was
because you're
just
the oldest. Are
well,
you the oldest?
yes, I was the
Okay.
oldest, and like me and my sister, we were like the golden children of the family because um, we look different. Like I'm very different to a lot of my family. Like hair,
Mm,
everything, the whole spectrum. So like we were like revered, and also me, I have this uh, a, a tangible talent that my parents loved. Like my parents loved the fact that I would win art competitions. I would like always be succeeding in art and things like that. So
mm,
a lot of people were proud of me at a young age, but like I said, that fed a lot of that insecurities that I ended up having at a later stage because I put a lot on me. There was no artists in the communities that I grew up in. And even me having a hero, like I mean, I used to look up to graffiti. There's a few graffiti artists, um, and that was it because like that was my knowledge. I was that ignorant about art, and art wasn't
mm,
that prevalent in the community that I grew up in. So
mm, mm.
um, yeah, it's just
But
childhood.
so, what moment do you? I mean, so you've got this tree house, this
So
beautiful big
the
garden. At
treehouse.
what moment?
Yeah, I've been drawing since I was like 5 years old. So I've always just been losing myself in drawing. But it's because of that environment that my father created. Like, I mean, that for me, it was escapism. It was like I was in an oasis. I literally was. Like, I mean, we had green grass. Everyone else was like brown, so like all the kids would play in our backyard. So it's that energy, it's all of those things. And I mean, for me, that's why like life informs my decision making in art. So in terms of that, like I mean, that for me is the profound that's what kind of made me choose the path was having that space and having that tree, having that, ability, because we lived close to a train station as well.
Yeah.
So we lived like a road away from the train station. So like most people would walk and commute through this back alleyway. So me sitting in the top of the tree would be able to see all these people walking by going to the train station, and that's why I was like that informed my love of people. Like, I'd be just nobody knew I'd be in this tree, and I'd just be watching people and watching their behavior. Like after sitting in that tree, for example, and then I'd spend hours drawing, hours.
Yeah.
I'd just lose myself. And even when I
But
was in high
do you
school,
remember being like this third person where you remember thinking, wow, I really like this? Like, do you remember having that sort of epiphany of it's almost third person perspective of yourself?
yeah, like for me, it's always like that. It's that inherent feeling. Like that for me is like the crazy thing. Like I don't. I've always felt that I would be nothing else but an artist. Nothing else. Like, and everyone was like, "No, but what's your other options?" I'm like, I don't have any other options. And this was from a young age because the second I picked up like drawing, like I mean, I just never stopped. And that, like my mom said, that from 5 years old, I was just like non-stop drawing.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it's always been for me, because drinking in life, looking at people, seeing things, it kind of like it needs a vehicle, and for art has always been that vehicle. So like I mean, I drink in as much with my eyes and my ears, and then it's time to go and process all of these things, and
Yeah.
then that's when the
Yeah.
art becomes like this vehicle for everything that I've been absorbing. And that's why I'm also not that conventional artist that just hangs out with just a whole bunch of artists.